Live from the chicken wing capital of the world, Buffalo, New York. You're listening to the Childcare Bridge Podcast, your source for the best tips, tools, and tactics on how to market and grow your childcare center, ensuring total domination. Total domination. This is the Childcare Bridge, and this is your host, Michael Tasner.
Hey there, and welcome to this week's edition of the Childcare Bridge. Today's topic is the first in a series of 4 episodes all about fall enrollment. So I love to do things as close to live and in real time as humanly possible. It doesn't make sense for me to shoot 6 months worth of episodes when the childcare market is changing on a very regular basis. The economy is changing, there are other industry factors, regulations are changing, etc. So we're at that point where the next 30 to 45 days for most centers is the most important of the entire year. Now, I'm going to give you a couple disclaimers and a couple of asterisks, so to speak. So the first disclaimer is this is not a one-size-fits-all. Some centers do not have a huge influx for pre-K enrollments in the month of August. Sometimes they see those in the month of July. So it varies a little bit, but widely, if I look all the way across the United States, most families, in terms of traditional school, start to go back late August, very early September. I'm based in Buffalo, New York. We go back traditionally the day after Labor Day. So right now, literally is the time where families are really making those final decisions if they have not already made the decisions. They're getting into tour mode once again. They're dusting off their notes from previous tours and making those decisions so that if they have some kids that are younger, they're taken care of. They're getting ready to get all of that stuff dialed in. So there are dozens and dozens of things that you can do to make sure that you are fully prepared. But at this stage of the game, there are some things that you are just going to be too late to the party on. And the biggest one is being able to do a full-blown open house, lots and lots of marketing. Like, that stuff needs a little bit of time. Like, you can't just slap up and say, hey, we're doing an open house in the next 2 weeks, and you just kind of wing it. I mean, you can do that, but typically speaking, that is not going to be the best use of your time and your money. Now, you can start to do some little things if you don't have some marketing rolling at this moment in time to make sure that your brand and your center is currently top of mind. And those could be things like sponsoring Facebook posts, putting some ad dollars to Google AdWords, for example, blasting your email list a couple of times. Like, there is some marketing that you can do at this stage. But let's make the assumption that you're going to kind of roll with the punches and see how this month goes. I want to make sure that over the next couple of weeks, I give you 1 or 2 things that you can focus most of your attention on so that you have the most successful fall enrollment season that you can. So for today, I want to focus on the topic of lead management. Now, lead management can mean a variety of different things, and it can take a variety of different paths. In this instance, I'm referring to all of the people that are filling out forms on your website, contacting you on Facebook or social media, visiting your center by way of walk-in, calling the phone number on your Google business listing profile and or your website. So anyone that is raising their hand saying, I want to learn more about your center. Now, in working with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of centers over the last 10 plus years, there is one thing that has become crystal clear to me. And that is that almost every single center that I have ever seen is horrible when it comes to managing their leads, working the leads, tracking, following up. That whole lead management process is typically an absolute disaster. Now, the good news with that is that even making small little tweaks, this concept of little hinges swing big doors, you can start to positively impact your numbers and literally money that you can take to the bank. So if you're forecasting on adding, let's just pick a round number and say 50 enrollments this month, and you get a couple hundred leads that come in or have came in recently as well, and you're able to improve your enrollment numbers by 5%, 10%, I mean, that starts to add up very, very rapidly. So what do you need to do to make sure that your lead management process is dialed in? Now, in this case, in this instance, I want to focus on the management of leads, not lead generation. That is all the marketing stuff that I talked about earlier. Now, you're, again, a little bit too late to the party to all of a sudden turn on your marketing switch. These are things that should have been in process the last couple of months. So the chances are pretty slim that, let's say last month you had 30 leads that came in and 10 tours, that this month you're going to have 500 leads and 150 tours. Like, it typically doesn't work like that. If you have not been doing any paid marketing, you don't have good search rankings, all that kind of stuff. So we can make sure, though, that anyone that's raising their hand is getting properly followed up with and nurtured, and at least you are aggressively aware. The keyword is aggressive, because every single lead, every single tour, all of that matters now more than ever. Because if we know that this is the key decision-making time, we need to be on like our A+ game. The B or C game that might work during the course of the year, where somebody fills out a form and you can get back to them within a day or two, that might work because a lot of people are kind of in the looking mode, in the education stage. You can kind of get away with some of that stuff. Not to say that I'm advocating for that at all, but now you really can't do that. So what are some steps? So the first thing is, I need you to make sure that you have some kind of system that is not paper or Excel or Google Sheets, to where you are tracking all of these potential families. There are dozens and dozens of customer relationship management tools that are out there. We have a tool that we sell, more than happy to make sure that you get well taken care of. We give everyone on our podcast 50% off. You need a system so that you are tracking all of this stuff. Now, paper, I mean, is an absolute no. And I can tell you that there still are a few centers that we work with that initially track every single thing on paper and then enter things into the computer. But my worst case scenario for you would be to have a Google Sheet and or Excel if you're using the Office products. It needs to be in the cloud so that you're sharing it with everyone and you're not having to be passing a document back and forth. Hey, I'm attaching the updates. It needs to be in real-time collaboration. Now, similarly to driving a ton of leads this month, it's borderline a little bit late for you to learn how to use a customer relationship management software if you've never used one. I mean, that'll take you a couple of weeks to get up to speed. But you need some kind of system that is in the cloud to where you are able to track everything meticulously. That to me is step one. Step two is I want you to go back and look for any of the old leads and opportunities that you may or may not have properly followed up with. Get all of them onto this tool and or cloud-based document. Everyone that came in, you're not sure what their status is. They haven't enrolled, they haven't pre-registered, you've got no deposits, they ghosted you. It doesn't really matter, but I need you to get all of those people, in addition to every lead that starts calling, visiting, filling out a form, needs to be updated in real time. And when you have this document, you can start to massage the data a little bit. How many are we working with? See if your director or directors or team can give some status updates on some of these, because what you don't want to do is start to deploy, I wouldn't call it the shotgun marketing, but generic marketing, and just send like one email to everyone that says, hey, are you still looking at enrolling? When your director or directors or team might be like, yeah, these 5 people already committed, but we didn't update. That's why it needs to be a cloud document. You need everything completely updated so that you're working with the best possible data in real time. You also need to communicate to your team that there are 0 exceptions for you not updating this every single day. period. Like, you cannot have people calling, leads sitting there for days on end. They will turn sour. And if you know the game, which right now it's people are often going to shop a couple of centers, it may not be the better center that ends up winning. Often, it's the center that followed up with them faster, more often, got them in for a tour quicker, had some kind of offer potentially to move that needle quickly to potentially get them to a yes immediately. Next week, we're going to talk about a tour and kind of how you can better manage the tour, knowing that it's fall enrollment time with special offers and applying a little bit of pressure that you normally may not apply. But today, again, we're focused on lead management. Step one, executed some kind of software tool and or Excel in the cloud, so Office 365 or Google Sheets. All of your leads are on there. You've then made it clear to your team that as people are calling in, visiting, like walk-ins, website forms, you've got to make sure you know where all that's going. There have been times when I've asked a center, hey, who's managing anything that goes to your Facebook page? They don't even know. Well, I think one of our teachers makes the posts. And then we logged in there and got access and saw there were like 100 comments that, not comments on posts, but people that sent messages, 100 messages rather, that just were completely unanswered. So missed opportunities. I can promise you that your lead management, your lead tracking game is not in a good place. And if I were to compare this industry to most any other industries, it's night and day with how good they are of managing their leads. It just is not one of those things that's been ingrained in childcare center owners' minds and directors as well. So you've got the document, you've got everything on there. You've then told your team, again, you've got to make sure that this stuff is getting updated on a regular basis. From there, what I want you to do is to make sure that every single day, everyone on that list is getting hit up every single day. So, Michael, isn't that a little crazy? The reason that it's not crazy is twofold. Number one, they raise their hand first. These are not people that you bought from a mailing list. These are people that called your center, visited your center, filled out a form. Like, they're not people that have no clue who you are. Number two, fall enrollment. This is when you need to strike when the iron is hot. Number three, the amount of times that it's taking for you to get a hold of people has increased threefold in the last 12 to 24 months. How many times do you see a lead that comes in, you call, or someone on your team calls, didn't get a hold of them. If somebody wanted to have a phone conversation, they would have called your center. They wouldn't have filled out the form. They would have called. If somebody visited your center live, they may not want to call. They might want to text. They might want to try and get them back in. They might need snail mail, so to speak. So hitting these people up every single day, and some people are going to start to drop out. And what you can do is start to whittle that list down. So let's say your list has 100 names. You're going to start to whittle that list down right out of the gate when you send a text message, an email, and make phone calls. Are you still looking for care for little Johnny? Is there anything else that I can do to help you? Are you ready to enroll? So you want to have some scripts and some conversations and things ready to go before you start making those calls. But as you start sending text messages, emails, and calls, right out of the gate, you're probably going to get 20 replies that are no. Now your list is down to 80. Maybe the next day a couple new ones come in, so it goes up a little bit. And then you have a few that you were able to move in the cycle. So that list will kind of go up, it'll come down again, go up. It'll continue to change in size heavily over the next 30 days. But if you know that every one of these leads is potentially worth $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, that's going to make it a lot more of a priority. It's going to give you and your team a lot more of a sense of urgency to put time and effort around this. So, well, Michael, where are you getting that number? Average tuition is now about $250 a week. Used to be closer to $850. It has continued to go up, which it should be or should have. The average amount of time a family stays is typically 20 to 30 months. So yes, there are some families that only use pre-K, but the majority of families that have two people working or single mothers, single fathers, grandparents, they're traditionally sometimes even starting as an infant and staying for 4 years, 5 years. But the average is traditionally between 20 and 30 months. So if you know that the average tuition is $1,000 a month, yours could be $800 a month, it could be $2,000. You multiply that by how long they're traditionally staying with you, and that needs to be an average number. that family is worth its weight in gold. And that does not factor in parent referrals. It's not going to factor in other siblings. So when you really start to do the math, I could easily make the case that one enrollment is worth in excess of $100,000 in revenue to your center over the next couple of years. Well, Michael, how does that math add up? Break it down. One enrollment, $1,000 a month, 20 months. Okay, $20,000. One other sibling, there's another $20,000. They refer, typically on average, 3 to 5 other families to your center. 3 families, 20,000, 20,000, 20,000, plus your 40, you're already at 100,000. Now again, you might, oh, Michael, that math that's not how it works at my center. I get it. This is not a one size fits all, but you need to stop thinking of these enrollments as, oh, it's only $600 a month, or, oh, they're only part-time. So they're going to refer other people. They're going to have other kids. They're going to talk about you online. Parents love to talk. And the way, as your step one, that you can make sure the next 30 plus days are ultra successful is to treat every single lead as if it were worth $100,000+. Get out there, get your leads organized, and work them each and every single day. Take action, you will make more money. Michael Tasner signing off. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I'll see you next week.